Afternoon, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. So I've got you on the muted mode at the moment. The last time I did one of these, there seemed to be an argument in the background. So we'll keep you on mute for the time being, and we'll have a Q&A later. Thank you for joining me as well. I'll just wait a few more moments before I get started. Like I was saying, a few moments is it's like a small group of us today. It's something that we're trying to aim for as well. So we shouldn't have to wait too much longer for anyone else. But I'll get going in about a minute or so, just I don't want you punctual people to suffer. Hope you're all having a good afternoon. Feel free to have your cameras off, maybe have your lunch in the background or something like that. Maybe treat it as a lunch and learn if you want to. Use this time for yourself. Like I said, just I'll be presenting a few slides and that before, so you've got time to maybe have your lunch in the background before you need to. We shouldn't be taking too long today at all, so I should hopefully not take up too much of your lunch break. All right, okay then. So we're a minute over, and I'll let anyone in who comes, any stragglers that come in at the end. So yeah, like I said, good afternoon. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Joel Hogan. I'm the programs manager here at Charity Digital. So for nearly 7 years, I've been providing support to charities in a number of different ways. So that's from frontline support, such as live chat and email, all the way across to delivering consultations and webinars and helping out numerous parts of the business as well. I'm sure we're all used to that in the charity sector, where we all have multiple job titles despite the one that we sign up for. It's very, very common. So our major focus at Charity Digital, like all charities, is impact measurement. For over a year now, I've been providing consultations to charities of all shapes and sizes. I'm advising the best offers out there for software and hardware to picking out solutions missing. Now, at Charity Digital, we do like to experiment with how we engage with our audience. And like I said, we provided consultations and started a successful live chat in the past year, which is a great communication tool, as well as provide content and mail shots based on a person's interests as well. Now, Charity Digital has the same challenges as all charities right now, with one of them being capacity building. And how do we do more for less is basically that question. Now, our next step in measuring our impact for engagement leads us to this event today. So we want to provide small focus groups to a specific charity type that we may feel need education on a topic that may have been overlooked. So I've spoken to hundreds of community centre charities and other learning types of charities in my years here that provided in-house training and learning over the years about a variety of topics. And the trend I've seen is there's a gap in cybersecurity. This could be from simple internal processes that should come as standard practice to software or solutions that can protect them. So go on to the next slide. So just a simple agenda today. So I'm going to speak a little bit more about the main cybersecurity risks specifically to community and learning centres that they face today. I'll also talk about some quick wins that you should be able to employ pretty quickly if you're not using them already. I'll then talk about some software-based solutions that are available at a charitable discount. I'll also provide you with some useful links outside of Charity Digital as well. So we do like to sing the praises of other organisations out there where we can. And then finally, we've got a Q&A section that will be available at the end. And I'll do my best to answer any of your questions within the session today. But I'm more than happy to take anything offline. You know, I'm looking forward to speaking to you on a one-to-one basis if you want to do that. So without further ado, should I say, let's talk about some of the trends or risks, should I say. So over the past 3 or 4 years, Charity Digital has worked closely with organisations such as the National Cybersecurity Centre to educate and inform charities of the serious risks that a lack of cybersecurity being implemented can affect them. Now, a serious cyber attack can financially cripple a charity to non-recoverable levels. We have an entire content hub dedicated to general cybersecurity at Charity Digital, so please take the time to familiarise yourself with this. Your time is valuable, so I want to primarily bring attention to cyber risks that community and learning centres face. Now, The main standout is that most community centres or venues that provide in-house training provide hardware to their members for learning. So, for example, you could be part of a community service program that provides job procurement skills and general key skills to enhance a person's skill set overall. Now, these devices are generally not used by staff, but by members of your community. We like to use the term outward facing just to differentiate them. So these outward facing devices may not be part of the same network as the staff devices. They may not have the same visibility for updates, or in the case of today, have the same level of cybersecurity in place. Now, some potential problems that could arise. So, for example, no restriction on internet website browsing. So a member or user of your services could easily jump or stumble across a website that's nothing to do with their learning, and if they're not in a fully supervised environment. So this could easily need to be clicking on like a dangerous pop-up that could be used for data collection, or maybe even click on a link that takes them to a very inappropriate website. So many community centres set outward facing devices on a separate network to that of the staff. Staff could be connected via the cloud, such as Microsoft 365 or something like that. So they'll be in the same network, but whilst the outward facing devices are entirely using on-premise software, as they have no need to be connected to the cloud. This means that visibility can be lost when a device could be under a threat, or when a malicious link has been clicked if certain software or processes are missing. A potential harm could be made on the device with the requirement of a reboot install or the end of the device entirely. Now, devices could be blocked if they are attacked by ransomware, which is a favorite cyber attack type from cyber criminals. And finally, the fact that outward-facing devices are used by non-staff means that they won't share your culture or approach to cybersecurity, as it's not their responsibility, to put it simply. So the fact that they won't be sharing the same attitude as yourself towards cybersecurity means it's even more important for the outward-facing devices to be protected and possibly be prioritized. So firstly, there's just some food for thought there. Let's move over to some of the quick wins to get you can put in place already. So with the quick wins that you as staff or volunteers at the charity can employ to your culture and attitude to cybersecurity. So always keep your software up to date. Cybersecurity breaches often happen when there are vulnerabilities in your software which has not been updated. When you receive a message to update, treat it as critical rather than annoyance. I'm sure that all of us get software update requests all the time. I got one this morning, yesterday on my phone, and I made sure that I put it as a priority to ensure that it is updated straight away. So don't hold off with security updates on that one. Now, not only do you need to bring security internally, but your audience or members, followers also need to have trust too. One way to do that is to ensure that you're communicating with your own email domain. And to put that in English for those not aware, so your own email domain will not be an email address ending in @gmail.com or @hotmail, @BT Internet, all the generic domains like that. You want your own email domain. It's important for any organization, so any type of organization, let alone charities, that use a dedicated email domain to bring trust to your audience. It's extremely easy to create an email address using Gmail or Hotmail that anyone can pose as your establishment. So quite often what cyber criminals can do is so there's so much information online that's publicly available about charities, particularly on sort of services like the Charity Commission. So it's very easy for someone just to take the name of your charity and put a Gmail at the end, the name. They could take maybe one of the names of your trustees, which is publicly available, and easily pose a view. It's something that does unfortunately happen in the sector. So do ensure either or that you do look into getting your own email domain. There's a lot of different options out there, low cost ones as well, available to charities as well. Another one is two-factor or multi-factor authentication. So that adds another layer of security. Yes, I understand to some it can come across as annoying sometimes, but it is part of your responsibility that when using tech or software associated with your charity to be another layer of protection. So it's about taking ownership of that. You should also be removing sensitive information. This can be associated with GDPR compliancy, but ensure you do remove information that is no longer needed. Simple first step on that is to check your recent downloads tab and ask yourself, how much are you really using that right now? So anytime you've downloaded a document from an email, website or something like that, just take a look at your downloads tab. I'd imagine that most of that, if you haven't moved it to a safe folder already, you're probably not going to need it. So definitely clear that if you can. So that's definitely a quick win. Finally, for our quick wins, do ensure that your firewalls are switched on. A firewall monitors your internet traffic that aims to access your computer and denies access anything that may raise an alarm. Please note that the firewall alone isn't your main protection. More like an alarm, but it's definitely something essential that you should have. Just going to talk about some of the solutions available there to yourselves as charities. So just going to go around there sort of in a circle. So Avast, you may see charity digital push this option a lot. And the main reason for that is accessibility and inclusion. So what you may or may not be aware of is that eligibility criteria can often be a stumbling block for any type of charity type. Where so it could be your charitable status alone doesn't confirm your eligibility for services, and that's not just for our website, but any other type of organization that's providing non-profit offers. Microsoft, for example, we might have come across that. So other things will be looked at is what your charity does, what your income is as well. So some organizations won't provide discounts to organizations with a higher income. And also your license count as well, or product purchase count. Like sometimes you might want a certain quantity of licenses, but you may only be able to eligible for a few as well. So there's different types of eligibility restrictions. Now, Avast are more than happy to provide a massive discount on their cybersecurity solutions to community centres and learning centres via Charity Digital. There aren't any restrictions on the amount of products you can request either, and you can add license as and when you wish as well. So that's also a restriction sometimes where you can only purchase your licenses at a specific time and can't add more later, which removes that flexibility. So that isn't an issue with Avast. Now, the Avast Cloud Care portal, which is used to manage your cybersecurity software, is fantastic. You can easily assign or reassign licenses to devices as and when you wish. So if a device becomes defect, you don't need a new license for the replacement. You just reassign it, which can be troublesome for other types of cybersecurity providers. You can run regular reports as well. You even have the option of purchasing the content filtering add-on, which can stop users from visiting websites which contain inappropriate content, which could be particularly useful for your learners, for your outward-facing devices. The patch management option is also perfect to ensure all devices are secure and cared for from a remote location. So avoiding the need to physically check every single device on a regular basis, you can all do that from one place. And finally, you can install Avast on your servers too. So it's recommended that you don't activate all the features of an Avast license when installing on a server, as it could interfere with some of the typical operations and tasks a server does. And it also comes with a free IT remote control tool as well, a little bit similar to TeamViewer. So if you are working remotely, you don't need, again, you can take full control of an external device. So perhaps another good option there. With your outward facing devices, you can access them remotely via your other network. Just moving on to Bitdefender. So it's another great option for cybersecurity with some good pricing as well. The level of support from Bitdefender isn't quite the same quality as Avast, and there are restrictions on the amount of licenses you can purchase, and also budget restrictions as well. So yeah, anyone here who's from a larger community sector might struggle to purchase those, but it's still a fair option, and that certainly has been a trusted provider of cybersecurity in the sector for many, many years. Bitdefender has many options such as antivirus, internet security, and even mobile security for Android smartphones, which is a nice touch too. Just be aware that Bitdefender does have eligibility criteria regarding the quantity of licenses, like I said, so you require, and they won't provide the discount to charities with a larger income. So yeah, bit of repetition there, sorry, but yeah, just something to note. Norton, so it's another big name in the world of cybersecurity. And for those who don't know, Avast and Norton are actually part of the same group. So there was a takeover about a year ago, so they're all part of something called Gen Digital now, just as a bit of an FYI for you. So Norton have some great low-cost bundles available that can protect computers, tablets, and smartphones with extra features such as firewall, VPN, password manager. You can cover a lot of bases with Norton. Fulfillment, to be honest, can sometimes be tricky with this offer. Often our users at Charity Digital experience delays with gaining access to the software. This has been going on for years. We've provided this feedback to Norton so many times over the years as well, but it just doesn't seem to, the experience doesn't seem to change, which is bad for our users and also looks bad for us as well. So it's not a great point if your cybersecurity has expired and you need something quickly. Probably not the best option to go to Norton in that sense. But as a side note, like I said, it's part of the Avast group. And again, there is an eligibility restriction regarding the quantity of licenses that you can purchase with this as well. You can only purchase one Norton product at the charitable rate per year. This Norton product could be a bundle, so it could be one bundle of 20 licenses or one bundle of 5, but that's it. That's all you're allowed to purchase at a charitable discount within a US fiscal year. Moving around to everyone's favorite big hitter there, or maybe favorite, but everyone knows big hitter. So Microsoft has a couple of cybersecurity solutions via the cloud. One is Windows Defender, and the other is Intune. Now, Windows Defender is a great email protection, but not necessarily the ideal for endpoint protection, unless you specifically purchase the Windows for Endpoint license, which can end up being a little expensive at £7.50 just for one device. So it can be a little bit pricey depending on your budget. Defender can help protect you from opening suspicious links, receiving emails, and even elevate your spam filtering. Now, Intune is almost a pivotal software option for organizations that use lots of devices remotely, or even devices used by volunteers that aren't part of the organization. So it manages the access for users accessing files and resources remotely, and can help you set up multi-factor authentication too. Defender and Intune are two separate license options, which can push your budget up. But the good news is there's a product called Microsoft 365 Business Premium, which I'm sure everyone's maybe come across or heard of at some point. There's a great charity offer for it out there. So Business Premium includes both Defender and Intune within it as well. It doesn't include the anti-voice endpoint version of Defender, but does provide some email protection. Business Premium is a really good option for charities who can email, store, and share documents, access Office apps, and have a good element of cybersecurity covered. You can get 10 Business Premium licenses for free directly from Microsoft, or you can obtain them via Charity Digital with a support service fee, where we can provide you an extra level of protection with that. But that's all I'll say on that. Finally, just to briefly touch on Acronis. Acronis is another cloud-based cybersecurity solution with various levels of security requirements available. From anti-malware and remote device wiping to automated patch management. There's a 50% discount code available via Charity Digital to access a variety of Acronis services. Just a couple more to show you there. Just that a little bit different to the others, couldn't fit them all on one page. So Mail Shell, really simple and low cost. So I did touch on email protection features of Microsoft a few moments ago. If you're not using Microsoft, perhaps you're Gmail users or something like that, a really super low cost option for anti-spam is a Mail Shell. So when I say super low cost, it's like £3 a year for one device. It could be an option for those, like I said, who have been using Gmail or some other type of mail away from Microsoft. But just to reiterate again, it's not a full cybersecurity solution. It's just a small part of it. And it is affordable to meet your cybersecurity requirements. So something to consider, but not the sole. It's not going to save the day overall, to be honest. Dashlane. So many organizations will have one device shared by multiple people. So again, like I said, community centers there, these outward facing devices. In this instance, password storing tends to happen. With passwords, you want to save them securely rather than on a Word document or a piece of paper, or passwords in someone's head in the staff. So you don't want to be doing that at all. There's a discount code available that provides 50% discount on Dashlane business subscription for 2 or more users or devices. It is world-renowned, reliable password manager and password generator as well. So it's just something to consider if you're going down the storing a password route, which isn't for everyone and always recommended, but if that's something that is within your processes, you might want to consider Dashlane. And just want to touch on Cisco. Now, Cisco products are used to set up internet connections in a physical office. They are mostly hardware, meaning that they are physical items such as routers, firewalls, sort of firewall devices, and switches as well. Now, if your group or charity has its own office, which I imagine so, being community centres rather than working remotely, investing in safe network hardware, so your routers, security appliances, etc., could be essential. With Cisco being one of the world renowned leaders for this. And if you don't have your own in-house IT person to implement this, you'd want to consider maybe hiring sort of arranging a consultation to help with the implementation with Cisco as well. A small note on eligibility. Now, Cisco, they do have their own sort of eligibility restrictions as well, a little bit tighter depending on organization's type. They are very keen on helping organizations that provide sort of external learning. So if you're a community center that's providing like help with job procurement or skills development, you should be eligible for Cisco sort of products. And if you're not, get in contact with us and we'll have a review of that there for you. So just going on to some suggestions outside of Charity Digital, just some nice shout outs as well. I mentioned them at the beginning. So the National Cybersecurity Centre is an invaluable source for knowledge on cybersecurity and particularly for charities. I'd strongly recommend that this would be your first stop for any queries cyber related. They also have lots of great free tools for you to use as well, such as web check for vulnerabilities on your website, mail check to help you understand the security of your email configuration, and the early warning tool, which can help you investigate cyber attacks on your network by notifying you of malicious activity that has been detected. You should really take advantage of their free e-learning tools, like the cybersecurity training for small organizations and charities. And we do a lot of work with the National Cybersecurity Centre in the form of articles and webinars, as mentioned earlier. So do check in with us at Charity Digital for any cybersecurity updates. IASME, just to touch on briefly, if you're looking to go for your Cyber Essentials accreditation, IASME is a really good choice as they will provide special rates for charities as well. So not all Cyber Essentials accreditation provide discounts for charities. Tends to be a pattern of any sort of software provider or services. If it's very, very specific, it's sometimes harder to get for charities to get a further discount. So IASME are willing to help with that. So definitely consider them. The Charity Finance Group has a hub dedicated to charity fraud with lots of articles from the sector as well. So check out that. Preventing Charity Fraud is another great website. Lots of information for charities of all sizes as well. And finally, just a little bit of software, which I had maybe not software, but a tool which I've had the pleasure of using, something to consider, is called KnowBe4. So it allows you to test the knowledge of your staff's cybersecurity knowledge. So so what will happen initially is each member of staff will get a questionnaire to fill in. And based on their answers, the staff or person will get training associated with the answers to their questions sent to them, which they may have got wrong or which they could have had a better answer on as well. So each person will get their own unique follow-up form of training based on their answers, which I think is quite clever. It's a good ongoing training tool, and also really good for onboarding new staff and volunteers as well. So perhaps if you're bringing on a new person or a volunteer, or someone who is going to be around you expect to be around for a little while, perhaps as on your onboarding or training process, you might want to get them to look at KnowBe4. I'm not aware of any charitable discounts for them for UK, unfortunately, but what I do say to anyone is if they have a question about charitable discounts outside of Charity Digital, is ask them directly, do you have a non-profit discount? Many software providers and other types of service providers will have or will provide discounts to charities, but they won't actively advertise it as well. So if you are in contact with them, perhaps a live chat or email or something like that, do get in touch with them and ask for the non-profit discount. So yeah, firstly, that's yeah. There's well onto our Q&A now. Now I do have a couple of sort of some questions submitted to me before, so thank you. By all means, if you do have any questions, feel free to start popping them in the chat, and I'll get to them in a few moments. So the first question I received was: are there any special / unique offers to community centres via Charity Digital, not necessarily for cybersecurity, that you'd recommend? Okay. I would say with that one, firstly, with our software, we're trying to make it as inclusive as possible in terms of so everyone can take a use of it. But Microsoft have actually developed or created a product line which I really do think has community centres in mind. So on the Charity Digital product catalogue, under Microsoft, you'll see in a section called Donated. And with some of those licenses in there, you'll see the term computer labs. And what that means is that these are licenses which are at low cost, designed for organizations which have outward facing devices. So they call them computer labs, very, very, very sort of official kind of name, a little bit too extreme for me, but that's fine. It's if you are a community center providing learning, you've got lots of outward facing devices, not used by staff, but used by learners. You have access to low cost sort of Windows licenses, Office sort of Office standards, so your on-premise licenses, and a few little other options as well. So I would say it's the only one sort of dedicated directly to well, I would say directly associated with community centres or learning centres, as those are the types of organisations that have outward facing devices not used by staff. Okay. The other question I received was, do you have any suggestions for training courses, particularly Microsoft or Google? Sure. So a couple of suggestions. So firstly, on the Charity Digital website, there's a section called TechSoup courses. So our partners at TechSoup have lots of different courses ranging from helping with Microsoft. So that's you could be Excel. There's like sort of an Excel training over multiple courses which you can do. They definitely do have a Google for one. They do have like a Google for nonprofits training. I think it's to do with G Suite. Sorry. So yeah, any sort of email marketing on there as well. Various other training courses as well there, which you could take advantage of. Mix of costs as well. Some of them are very low cost, like I think, and they're done in euros, I believe, like maybe like 10 euros for one course, and some are a little bit more expensive. So that's one option. With Microsoft, if you're using Microsoft 365, if you say you're using Business Premium, you should already have access to Viva Learning. So if you're in your 365 admin center or portal, along the top of the page, usually to the left, you'll see like a row of 9 dots. So in bunches of 3, so that's called the App Store. So you click on that and you'll see all of the apps which are included with your subscription. So your typical ones like Outlook, things that you can download to your device, and various other really cool features that you may or may not be aware of. And one of them is Viva Learning. Now, Viva Learning is, it's a hub where there are a variety of courses on various types of learning. So there will be Microsoft centric stuff, as well as other things as well, like marketing and other training tools as well, which is really good. It has these, I can't remember the term exactly, but these, I'm going to call it like a lab, like a hands-on lab, where I'm not sure about you, but in terms of learning, you can come to webinars like this today, or you can read, but we're all different types of learners. And I'm very much a hands-on, I need to do it to really learn. And with Viva Learning, it does have a hands-on option, these labs where you do as you learn rather than just sit there and learn or read as well. So it's a really good tip box there for me, for someone who likes to look a little bit more hands-on as well. So those are a couple of suggestions that I've got. Let's have a look at some of these questions. So thank you. Thanks firstly, Heather, for the link. You're welcome. Right, let's come to you, Carl. So with cybersecurity products, do you generally have to buy a license for every endpoint PC that you have? We have a network with about 50 staff and public PCs, so I'm trying to work out how much a package to cover our whole network is likely to cost us. So, yeah, so ideally it depends who you go with, Carl, in terms of the licensing, but you do want to have a license that covers each physical device in that sense. Now it depends on there might be some license options out there, like, so for example, Windows Defender, that will, as it's included in a Microsoft 365 subscription and it's user based, that protection will follow the user to what device that they are using. Like I said, Defender is it's not I would not consider Defender that comes with Microsoft Premium like a full cybersecurity solution. It's great for email protection and that as well, but may not necessarily help you if a device is already infected. So that's that type of license that would follow the user. But then there's the other options out, like some of the ones I mentioned today, which is Avast, Bitdefender, Norton, where you install protection on a specific device. In terms of if you work out how many devices that you need to protect, there's a few options via Charity Digital. I know you said 50 staff, but I'm not sure how many devices they're using. But if you've got 50 staff and maybe round about the same device count, then you probably want to look at the offer from either Bitdefender as they have a bundle, or you have Avast, which can have any amount of licenses that you require, and the devices, so the licenses for Avast are flexible. So if a device has become a defect, you can then reassign the device license to a new one, which I don't think you can do with Bitdefender. Also, if you do need to purchase more licenses, you won't be able to with Bitdefender due to the restriction of that I mentioned earlier, where, sorry, no, I didn't mention this earlier, but with Gravity Zone Bitdefender is that once you've purchased, say, a 50 license bundle, you will be setting the network up within that instance, but then you can't add more licenses to that network later. So it's not flexible with adding more protection later on. It's really good if you know exactly what you're using. Perhaps you buy a 50 license bundle, but you've only got 40 devices. At least you've got a little bit of flexibility to have some spare ones later. But if you go over that, that's not going to happen with Gravity Zone, because you set up a network and that's the maximum would be 50 within that network, where Avast, you've got complete flexibility to add when you like as well. Also, it's got some really good tools. So yeah, waffled on a bit there, but by all means, feel free to contact me directly. I can go through that with you. But it sounds like your main, in terms of like maybe endpoint solutions, would be looking at maybe Avast or Bitdefender. So look down. Okay, Heather. So also mentor groups in a social club. Does this also work with them? Also, we're encouraging digital for over 50 people. So in terms of your point there, Heather, I mean, like if we're talking about outward facing devices, any device that is used by someone who's not like employed by the charity in that sense, who perhaps someone who's part of your network, and they can take advantage of these kind of outward facing devices, device licenses I spoke about earlier at Microsoft. By all means, feel free to clarify and chat a little bit if you can, and I can maybe go for that a bit further for you. Okay, Carl, so we have PCs used by staff or public. Great. Okay. So again, so 50 PCs. So Bitdefender, like I said, there's a 50 license bundle, which is great, and you should be able to bring all devices within that network for sure. So yeah, the 50 license bundle for Bitdefender could work for you. Or like I said, Avast as well, you can still get 50 licenses of there. We've got a couple of sort of introductory bundles that you can take advantage of, which have a further discount. So you can take on, like, purchase a bundle of 25, a bundle of 10, which brings you to 35, and then 15 individual ones, for example. So you could do that in terms of if you're looking at cost and quality. What I said mentioned about Avast you might like is the free remote control tool. So if you've got, that's quite a lot of devices, at least in my opinion, being able to suddenly rather than your physical requirement to go there, you can take over the PC from wherever you are using the free remote control tool which comes with it for sure. So that's all the sort of questions that have come up so far. I'll give it a moment for anyone else wants to pose any questions. You're welcome, Carl. I'll give you a few moments to type any. Definitely need a water break after that. I'm talking so much. I hope I'm not talking too fast. Okay. All right then. Okay, so yeah, that sounds like all the questions. I really hope that you found the session useful, and by all means, um, I'm around at Charities. So if you have any questions, I've just posted in the chat a feedback link. It's really useful for us for measuring our impact as well. So if you get the time, just when you log off, just 3 quick questions to say how valuable the session was today. Like I said, we've just started this series of the sort of more condensed sessions where we want to speak to specific charity groups. Oh, there is some more. So Carl, so are online services such as Google Drive safe and secure? It will have some inbuilt sort of security parts in it, and a lot of that will come to your own internal culture towards cybersecurity. By itself, you know, there it can be. There are ways to sort of impact it, a sort of a Google Drive negatively. A trend that we do see at Charities Digital is that many organisations do start off with sort of Google or Gmail for emails and storing documents, etc. But then later they tend to move to Microsoft just because it's got just a little bit of a better security. So in terms of safe and secure, it will come down to your own culture and perhaps any other software that you obtain to help protect that as well. That's just my opinion on it. So it really just comes down to yourself with that. But by itself, yeah, you might want to just ensure that you are protecting it. Tracy, so my colleague who normally does most of this is on leave today, so I'm covering. Are you able to share? So the recordings are sent. Will be sent to you later. It won't be today. I think it'll be possibly next week after Easter. But yeah, we'll be sharing the recording there for you, absolutely at all, so you can catch up. Heather, thanks for clarifying. So thanks. The mentoring group is for over 50 years of age in a social group. Yes, very good session. Thanks. We are aiming to improve. Oh, okay. Thank you very much, Heather. Yeah, so over 50 years of age, I speak to a lot of demographic of people. The University of the Third Age is a really popular one, really, but helping people over 50s gain training skills as well, where types of universities of the third ages I've spoken to over the years. I wouldn't be surprised if I've spoken to every single one of the ones across the country on that. But yeah, there's those types of organisations for the over 50s training. There's a lot for you to take advantage of, and particularly with cybersecurity, where perhaps they might not have that in the front of their mind when training on the devices, that maybe you're just ensuring you've got the right cybersecurity protection on the devices that they're using could help them. Okay, and you're welcome, Tracy. So I'll post it just one more spammy time, just as you go. Just say, yeah, just some feedback. It really helps me, helps me allow to sort of impact other groups like this. I'd love to certainly do another topic specifically dedicated to community and learning centres, but maybe not necessarily cybersecurity. I've done one recently for religious organisations, and I know eventually again on cybersecurity, and I know I'll come back round to religious organisations again, but on a different topic, not necessarily cybersecurity. The reason I've gone for cybersecurity first is just that it's just very important, and it's not always at the top of the list of charities. And I understand why. It's about everyone's struggling right now, and service delivery is obviously the top of the pile. Not every charity has always had the budget to invest wisely into cybersecurity, so I understand that. It's just to really get the message out there for you. Okay, so if that's the last of it, there's my email if anyone just wants to take a note of that. So by all means, feel free to email me directly with sort of any questions you have about cybersecurity, anything else I can help you out with on the Charity Digital website, I'll do my best to respond to you as quickly as I can as well. Not next week, I'm on leave though, so you can't expect it. But yeah, there's my email if you need it. I'd just like to say thank you very much again for taking time to join me today. I hope you found the session useful, and hopefully get to speak to you again soon in the future. Have a great afternoon now.